It is my profound pleasure to welcome you to the 4th International Conference on the Safe Schools Declaration.
We are pleased that this conference, for the first time, takes place in an African country. We believe this can bolster the efforts to improve the conditions of children in this continent.
For us in the African Union, we are in partnership with the United Nations and all leading intergovernmental bodies to make this change happen, centered on peace education and making sure that our own policies in-house will also be upgraded and reviewed regularly through the PCRD, what is called the Post-Conflict Reconstruction and Development Framework.
Garantizar el derecho a la educación es una parte fundamental de la respuesta humanitaria a las situaciones de emergencia, ya que la educación tiene un rol clave en la construcción de un diálogo que lleva a la cooperación, a la reconstrucción de la paz y a la protección de los derechos humanos.
Stop the war on children. Let decisions be made with children so that their voices can be heard loudly in the nation. If you serve a child today, you have reserved a better tomorrow for the nation.
The children describe how they live in fear. They call on us to protect their right to education. They call on us to prevent attacks and military use of schools and universities. It is our duty to listen. So let's take action now and put the declaration into practice.
There can be no stability and no prosperity without education. That is why there is no excuse to justify harm inflicted to schools.
You have suffered too much from the interruption of schooling because of terrorism and threats. It is now for us, the whole international community, to show our solidarity and to support your efforts to build back better, to make schools safe and secure, to make a reality of the promise of high-quality education for every boy and in particular every girl. And I pledge to work with you to achieve this.
UNICEF and our partners are working tirelessly so that all children can realize their right to learn.
Education is not only a right for every child, it's also a pathway to a better, brighter and more peaceful future.
Imagine the thousands of children and young people who are forced to share their classrooms with soldiers occupying the building. Those kids face daily risks of crossfire, sexual violence, or even child recruitment.
We've assisted in having to rebuild some of the schools. We have equally provided security to enable our teachers and other caregivers in our various training institutions, that is school establishments, for them to be able to undertake their responsibilities.
The long-term repercussions of attacks against education must be put at the center of international decision-making.
We've also created the ability for young people, the children parliament, some of whom you saw yesterday. All of that advocacy modules have already been energized.
We urge other states to make concrete commitments themselves to bring the lessons learned at this conference back home and to work towards building a society in which all children and young people can study and learn in safety, and educators and academics can teach and conduct research without the threat of violence.
Domestic judicial systems is actually fundamentally important to ensure that we achieve accountability for education, attacks on education. But also critical is that governments assist victims, and this is obviously a commitment under the Safe Schools Declaration. The survivors often tell Human Rights Watch investigators that they desperately need psychosocial support and compensation for losses.
When schools are occupied or even destroyed, students lose out on their access to education. And when children get abducted and are forced to become soldiers, most will later struggle to recover the gift of education that was stolen from them.
For we must be tireless in our efforts to safeguard this fundamental right, the right on which all other rights are built.
Et nous renforçons les capacités des enseignants et particulièrement des enseignantes pour la prise en charge des filles. Nous recrutons également au sein des communautés affectées des femmes modèles, des mentors qui servent comme guides et comme conseillères pour les filles gravement atteintes et qui ont besoin de suivi psychosocial.
On behalf of children across the world, I call on world leaders to endorse and implement the SSD for the safety and well-being of children and schools. Thank you very much.